Hello peeps, it's the Hillbilly Halfwit here, Gaza, and what we're going to talk about in this video is Wilfred. He's a black farmer in the UK. Sometimes you see him on the Jeremy Vine show in the morning. What a nice chap. He came over from Jamaica as a 5-year-old after his parents who come before, about 5 years before, and he made a life for himself here, and he started working his way up from just working in a restaurant, and then became a chef, and then became the owner of restaurants. He gave Gordon Ramsay one of his first jobs. He now has a farm, and he's known as the Black Farmer in the UK, and he's just a real nice chap. And I saw this interview, and I know some people. He's had an interview with Lee Anderson last night. I know a lot of people aren't keen on Lee Anderson. Some are, some aren't. I'm not saying anything about that. I just saw the interview on YouTube last night, and I thought it was really nice the way he was explaining things, and I agree with pretty much everything he says in this little video next. That if I wanted to be a farmer now, I couldn't afford to buy the ground, to be quite honest. That's how it goes, isn't it? So please comment, rate, subscribe, and just listen to this video all the way through if you don't mind, to see if the countryside's racist from a black farmer.
And then I created my own brand, the Black Farmer, when I bought my farm down in Devon.
Let's talk about your farm. Say it's called
it's my farm. I'm not going to give the address in case I get people coming down there, but it's on the Devon-Cornwall border.
Yeah.
I've had this farm now. It's coming up to about 28 years.
Wow.
So you can imagine 28 years ago buying this farm.
Yep.
And I can remember when I wanted to buy this farm, people say to me, well, why are you wanting to buy a farm down in Devon? You know, all this sort of metropolitan types are saying, well, don't they lynch black people down there? And one of the things I find really, really frustrating is there's this prejudice about people from rural Britain.
Yeah.
Even today, there's a massive prejudice, and it's based on people have absolutely.
And why is that, Wilfred?
Well, it's based on naivety and people not having any real knowledge of what
ignorance.
It's absolute ignorance. And I think the thing is that I feel safer being in rural Britain than I would be in urban Britain.
Wow.
You know, you could rely and depend on your neighbours.
Yeah.
You need to rely and depend on each other to be able to sort of.
So you've gone from the kitchen to the farm.
Yes.
So you're going where it all starts. You know, where we grow our foods and rear our livestock, whatever.
Yeah.
But there's not many black farmers in this country. Why is that?
The reality is this, is if you and I had to go out and buy land today, it's very, very expensive. Most people who own land, they haven't had to go and buy it. It's been passed down through the generations. That's why you don't see many black people in farming, because it's a pretty expensive business. So one of the things that I really like to try and champion is that we need to get fresh blood in the farming community.
Yep.
Definitely need to do that. And the way to do that is there is a lot of land that's owned by big institutions in this country, whether that's the Church of England, whether it's a National Trust. And what I would like them to do is to go out and search for people from non-traditional farming black backgrounds.
I don't agree with that.
And to give those people a helping hand to start into food and farming.
So Wilfred, there will be some people out there. The countryside is racist, maybe farming's racist because there's not many black farmers. How would you respond?
Well, it's one of the things that really annoy me, because in my experience, that isn't the case. And I think what happens is this. If you are a stranger, whether you're black, whether you're white, and you turn up into an area, people are going to look at you. It's like, well, what are you doing here? Because part of your security living in the rural Britain is knowing your people. I've had people come down my lane, white people down my lane, and it automatically puts you on alert to think, well, you know, what are you doing here? Maybe that they're lost.
Yeah.
I mean, only about, you know, a year ago, some Poles and Russians came down, and you're looking at that, what's going on, because you don't look as though you're familiar.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say that actually racism doesn't exist. People do experience it, but I do think that rural Britain really gets unfairly treated. And it tends to be metropolitans who have this perception, intellectuals have this perception
the intellectual.
that actually, that if you're black, you're going to have a difficult time. You know, that isn't my experience. As I said, what you really rely on is people that you know.
The intellectual.
Oh, what a nice interview, I got to say. I don't agree with everything he says, because I think young farmers in a farming family should be given a chance first because it's their actual livelihood. But pretty much everything else he says about being countryside being racist is all false, and it's a learned paranoia in Western society at the moment, in city society. And like I've said this before, people with common sense and brains go into university and they get churned out the other side, hating everybody and a paranoia that everybody wants to hurt them, which is far from the case. And if you go through life with a paranoia about other people before you even met them, that's not healthy for you, I don't think. So as I say, we'll leave with this: power to the people, like old Wilfred Smith used to say, because at the moment I don't think there's any party really that stands up for everybody, because they've all sort of mingled together and they have a few leaders who are running the whole lot. So whereas Wilfred Smith used to be far left, I think people like Wilfie now are like me, in the middle of this whole bunch of parties, looking around thinking, what on earth is happening to the place? So please comment, rate and subscribe, and all the best, guys.